Welcome to video 1 of the Getting Started series. In this video, we're going to cover logging in and creating and updating your ThreatMaster database. By now, you should have received your login details via email. So if you go to www.hawksitesoftware.com and enter your username and password that was sent to you. On initial login, you will be prompted to change your password. If you require multi-factor authentication, it can be set up by clicking here. And if you need to update your password at any time, you can change it here. Before we start to configure your account, you should have in mind what type of security risk assessment you wish to carry out. In this example, we're going to carry out an assessment of a corporate office. So to get started, click on the Masters tab. You'll see here a list of all the masters that you will use in your account, most notably the Security Threat Master and the Risk Treatment Master. In this video, we're going to focus on the ThreatMaster database. So to begin, click on ThreatMaster database. Next, click Add New Threat. And now, click on the Threat Activity field. Your new account will contain no threat activities, but as you add them, they'll be listed here under the relevant threat categories. So now click Add New Threat Activity. You can type in your new threat activity in free text in the far left-hand field. In this case, we're going to type in theft. Next, you need to select the threat category from the drop-down menu. In this case, we're going to assign criminal. Next, select the type of critical assets that this threat activity might affect from the drop-down. This example, we're going to consider physical assets such as laptops, information such as confidential documents, and information communication technology or ICT to cover digital information. Now we need to click Add Consequence to consider the consequence of the theft of these assets to the business. You should select one or more definitions from each of the consequence categories on the consequence table. In this example, we'll consider the consequence of up to £1 million worth of loss, no consequence of physical injury, minor restrictions on process objectives, loss of some resource, will have major deficiencies in brand and reputation, resulting in national competitive market loss, but no consequence of production loss. Once completed, click Select, and then click Save. This information is now stored in the Threat Activity Master database, and you're taken back to the threat page. On the threat page, the serial number and threat category is auto-assigned. Now we need to add the threat actor. In this case, we're going to add two. The first one, employees. When you add a new threat actor in free text, you must be sure to click on the blue box to ensure that it's added. We're also going to add a second, contractors. Now you can see on our account we have a list of previously entered threat actors. As you enter more threat actors in your account, the list will generate for you as well. Now we need to add the threat driver. What is driving this threat actor to carry out the threat activity of theft? And in our case, we're going to say disgruntled employees. Now we need to consider the intent of a disgruntled employee to carry out theft of the assets that we've identified. To do so, we're going to click on Intent and then click on the most relevant definition based on your understanding of the threat. In this case, we're going to say expressed. Now we need to consider the capability of the threat actor to carry out theft. In this case, we're going to consider it to be moderate. The threat level is automatically calculated as significant. Now we need to put a location to the threat. To assign the threat as a global threat, click on the global icon. But be careful not to assign too many threats as global, or you'll spend a lot of time deleting threats from your auto-generated reports. In reality, threats rarely have identical threat actors, threat drivers, or the same intent and capability across the world. In this case, we're going to assign a specific location, and to do so, we click on the stamp icon. Once the mapping page opens up, type in your location into the search field. In this case, we're going to assign it to the United Kingdom. Once the red icon shows, click Save. And on your threat page, you can see one location has been assigned. We can add multiple locations by clicking back on the stamp icon, searching for another location, in this case France, and then saving it. We can now see 2 locations have been added to the threat. The threat analysis is complete, so we can click Add to enter the new threat into the Threat Master database. Any of the data fields that we've completed for this threat can be edited by clicking on the pencil icon. Once you've edited the threat, you can press Save and it will be re-entered back into the Threat Master database. You've now entered your first threat into the Threat Master database. Now you need to follow the same process, starting with Add New Threat, to add more threats to the Threat Master database until you have completed your threat analysis. To get started, I suggest you add up to 5 threats, but you will undoubtedly increase the number of threats as you begin to carry out more detailed security risk analysis. You've now completed video 1. When you have added all your threats into the Threat Master database, you'll be ready to start video 2.